Hello and welcome back to the White Pube podcast. I am ZM Zarina Mohammed, and if you don't know, the White Pube is a website that I run with my friend Gabrielle de la Puente. We write about art, video games, music, film, books, food sometimes, literally whatever, culture at large. We publish a text every Sunday, and this podcast feed is where we record audio versions so you can listen to us read the text to you in our own voices. If you do want to read the text with your eyes and not with your ears, then you can do that by going to thewhitepube.com or .co.uk, and every single text we have ever written is there somewhere on the website for you to dig around and find. I'm going to get straight to reading the text, but before I do, I'm going to give you an intro. I normally take the full week, maybe longer sometimes, to write my text. I take ages. I dip in and out, and I really... I put things down for long enough to know that if I feel a particular way, that it's not because of a particular time, or you know what I mean. It's I'm taking the time to really chisel away at the feeling, putting it down, coming back to it. It's a bit more like a war of attrition than anything else. But I had such a specific and particular reaction to this piece of work that I squeezed this text out in a day, and it was just like I had to get the words out of me, and I didn't bother to slow down and put it down and come back to it and turn my head away, come back when I've forgotten what it looks like. I just squeezed it out. So that's interesting. Rarely happens. I think this text feels different to me because of that, but maybe that's only interesting to me. But yeah, I wrote it on Tuesday, and I think you can probably tell because of the vibe, considering the week that we've had. I'm going to get straight to reading it, but stay tuned all the way till the end if you would like a little emoji to comment on the Instagram post for this text, because I'm actually not fully convinced that anyone is reading the website or listening to me here. I don't know, I like feeling like I'm shouting into the void. It feels like shouting into the void. So this is just like a fun game that we play so that we can gauge how many people are sticking around to actually read things on a week-to-week basis. It's fun. But yeah, I'll get straight to reading. I can't help it. Time crunches up against itself into a circle. It is impossible to write about a work of art without writing about the world around it, around me as I look at it. My world and the world are the thick snow globe liquid that artwork swirls around in, floating on invisible currents. It's just the way it is. How unfair to try and write about an artwork in the world when the world is very weird. It's Tuesday, 6th of August. I've been thinking about my family in Bangladesh. Makes sense. Riots there, riots here. The journey that separates us is fresh in my mind as English fascists kick down the walls of mosques. Right now feels like the 70s. I've been thinking about my dada and dadi back then, leaving a month before bloodshed in Bangladesh to come here, to North London. In 1977, fascists marched over Duckett's Common, down the road from their house. National Front, EDL, Britain First. Tommy Robinson's on fucking holiday, but he wants you to take back our streets. And it's all the same. Rivers of blood, prophecy for the Tiber or Thames. They can't see a world where no one has the whip hand. It's a story so old. Yeah, that old chestnut. Riots here, riots there. I'm thinking about the journey and the distance in between. How it must have felt like something was tearing. The 70s feels close because even Labour politicians are saying those people that shouldn't be here, when they come from countries like Bangladesh or wherever, we're going to send them back. Yeah, not to Rwanda, but send them back, Jonathan Ashworth says. I used to live around the corner from that house in Tottenham, that house they landed in, 10-minute walk down West Green Road to Duckett's Common. I used to run past it into the park, carrying my body through the distance between us, me and my dada. I crunched the time up with my stride. He came here with 2 suitcases, and now I'm running through the park, sweating in London's smog. It is like something is tearing. It tore. don't speak the same language as my cousins, can only understand them in snippets because my mum came from somewhere else, so she speaks 2 other different languages. If immigration didn't exist, neither would I. Yeah, that old chestnut. It's trite but true. I cried on the tube with the metro spread open on my legs. My mum remembers being chased down the road by skinheads on her way home from school. Time crunches. A car swerves my way in the dark. My bike mounts the curb. Ha ha ha. Through the decades. I can relate because I'm here hoping it was a drunk driver. Riots here. My cousin in Dhaka messaged saying Hasina fled to India in a helicopter. Last week she said they'd been cutting off the internet, buildings were on fire, police were firing live ammunition into crowds, hundreds were being killed. But on Monday she sent a video, drone footage of graffiti over empty roads. People are on the streets celebrating the fall of a dictator. Time crunches up into a circle. The government quotas were a hangover from the independence war in the 70s. Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries in the world and it is shrinking, sinking. Climate change and the rising tides are eating away at the land because the country spreads over the Ganges Delta. It's either drought or flooding. Entire land masses have shifted and the government was corrupt, violent, skimming the best off the top for itself, leaving everyone else to fend for themselves. Yeah, that old chestnut. Haha, we can relate to that. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes through time and geography. Not just history, but, the present too. I can't separate an artwork from the world around it, the world around me. It's atmospheric. We swim around in it together. Oh no, we swim around in it. That's the scene, the snow globe liquid. It makes sense, it matches. It feels important to declare it, nail it down in advance. 2 weeks ago, Laisul Hoque sent me an unlisted YouTube link for his film. The purpose was to document the other side. 15 minutes, a tight, discreet pocket of a story. In 2004, Laisul's dad brought a camera to document his journey through Europe, capturing footage for his family at home in Bangladesh because they couldn't come with him. 20 years on, Laisul's mother comes to visit him in London for the first time. He, the artist, uses the same camera to document her visit. That's the premise, the inciting incident. They go to Big Ben, the London Eye, the Shard, Tower Bridge. They speak to each other like friends, like 2 adults. They speak about the pain that exists between them. They do not tiptoe around each other. They do not tiptoe around each other's feelings, but they are caring for each other in this honesty. We hear Laisul's voice from behind the camera, asking his mother to tell her story, to collaborate with him in making this film. She gets to be the author, the narrator, the protagonist too. Her hand reaches out. She talks about her own mother and upbringing, the ways in which she was hurt, the things she passed down. It's difficult to hear because pain is complicating. She is describing the outline of her hurt in a matter-of-fact way, past tense, but there's a looming present tense manifestation of the distance between them and what fills the space. She describes the artist's upbringing by proxy. That's the collaboration. What she says, what she doesn't say, the way the camera communicates what's between those 2 things and what bridges the gap. Some of the footage is shot close up and immediate, camera lens as spinning eye. It is unwieldy, dizzy, too close and tight and zoomed into a pinch for it to be clear. We are looking out from somewhere around the artist's chest as he refastens a safety pin at his mother's wrist. Then, in other moments, the footage is further back. It is mediated through a screen. The camera blurs and pans over a small, grainy Handycam flip-out display. We watch what's happening through this protective layer. The footage sounds further away in these moments too. There's no signal that the switch will happen back and forth. It just flips, like the film is flinching. At one point, the camera focuses in on Handycam playback, zooming in on a phone screen that's filming Tower Bridge. 3 layers intervening in my attempt to behold the bridge. Phone, Handycam, my own laptop, but still, the bridge is there, linking one side of the river to the other, a route to take, a way to carry your body through the distance. Film can re-articulate things, repeat and rhyme through time or geography. Film can re-articulate time itself. The footage repeats on itself, speaking something aloud in the images, something that maybe can't be articulated in words. The same shots appear through the lens, through the handycam viewfinder, background for a conversation about anger and violence. It raises a lump in my throat. The film's dialogue is subtitled in English, spoken aloud in Bangla, and the language illustrates a gap I can't articulate in words either. The distance between my dada and dadi and me, the gap of the generation in between us and what went missing. The outline of a hurt I can't articulate to myself, let alone re-articulate for an audience. I flinch. Maybe images and gesture fill the gap where pain reduces language to a kind of flimsy dust. The film is a tight, discreet pocket, 15 minutes, but there are 3 acts: care, candour, closure. The first 2 are between the artist and his mother. The last third is abstract and disembodied. The film closes with footage from the artist's father's journey through Europe, the camera's original purpose. I felt something come loose, but I'm not sure what it was. I think it's not for me to know. I want to preserve some sense of mystery and opacity. This film contains so much vulnerability. But through the 3rd act, Laisul's mother articulates a kind of loss. Her son, the artist, moved to London from Dhaka. There is now a physical distance between them. While this film attempts to close the emotional distance, there's something about the yawning gap of continents and oceans that feels like a dull thud, full stop. Something tearing. The film closes with the camera in the artist's mother's hand. Laisul asks her to spell out mother with the camera. She writes with the lens, with the space in the distance. Through gesture, through image, something is spoken aloud to fill the gap. Time crunches. A letter, a line, a bridge for them to carry their body through the distance and over onto the other side. And that is the review, or the text. It's less a review, more just a reaction. But there it is. Please, what emoji can I have? I know that there is a bridge emoji, like the San Fran Golden Gate Bridge, that one. I'm not sure if there are any others, but yeah, a bridge emoji, please. It feels like an important symbol that, really stuck with me. That shot of Tower Bridge through the phone, through the handycam, through my laptop. All those layers that you're ultimately just looking at this bridge, you're still seeing it, but it descends into a kind of abstraction. It's really beautiful. That will stick with me. So a bridge, please. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll leave you to it. Hope you've had a good weekend and hope you have a good week. Goodbye.